Hello everyone, Luke here. Welcome to another My Team video. Only 3 races to go this season, and today it is going to be the Mexican Grand Prix around the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez in Mexico City. Hopefully it goes as well as the last race where we secured, apart from the amazingly shocking result in Singapore, our next best result of the season. 4th place in Austin. The alternate strategy once again working out pretty well. What that means for the Drivers and Constructors Championships, I'm looking pretty solid in 7th place now, 19 points ahead of Esteban Ocon, and likewise Minardi, 19 points ahead of McLaren. Can't see myself moving up in either of those championships, but likewise can't see myself moving down either, unless there are some more shock results. But for now, let's see how we do in Mexico. There was only a week between America and Mexico, so I haven't had any chance to do any car improvements, so hopefully we won't have slipped back too much. Mexican Grand Prix qualifying time then, the highest track on the calendar, plenty of altitude here in Mexico City, and that means you do see some fast straight line speeds. Can't see us getting too many more upgrades done to the car either between now and the end of the season, and the reason for that is we've had to spend all our remaining upgrade points on making sure we've got enough durability points to save the upgrades we've made throughout the season. That is the department that is being affected by the regulation changes, but as you can see, thankfully we have managed to salvage most of them upgrades already, so it shouldn't cost us too much more points to make sure we're in a good place with that at the start of next season. Not doing too bad at the moment. I have seemed to enjoy this track again. Like Austin, it's not one that I've driven around too much previously on Formula 1 games, seeing as it first made its return to F1 in 2015, and I'm putting in a decent lap time at the moment, starting anywhere in the higher part of those outside the top 10 would be very good indeed as we come towards the finish line, and it is going to be 14th position. I've sort of made these 14th, 15th, 16th places my own in qualifying. Let's see what we can do from there, and who knows, there might be some penalties as well that bump us up further.
It's time to remind ourselves of our top 3: Bottas, Hamilton and Max Verstappen. With qualifying complete, all that remains is the main event. We'll be live and uninterrupted for the Grand Prix tomorrow, so make sure you join us then.
Ricardo, my rival, having a very good qualifying up there in 5th position. Nick qualified in 18th behind one of the Haas cars, only 3.5 tenths behind us, so pretty decent to be honest. Let's see if he can move up in the race. Let's see if I can move up in the race as well. I got some really good points in America, and I'm hoping to repeat that here at Mexico.
With the race minutes away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. Good job yesterday from Valtteri Bottas. The Finn starts from pole position, and it's Lewis Hamilton alongside. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Verstappen, Perez, Charles Leclerc and Stroll, Vettel, Albon, Gasly and Lando Norris. The owner driver, Grosjean, Daniel Ricciardo and Ocon, Magnussen, Kvyat. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Antonio Giovinazzi and George Russell, Raikkonen, Latifi, Sainz and Nick de Vries. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
Quite a few drivers getting penalties there. Ricciardo, Kvyat, Sainz, they all got penalties that have bumped us up to 11th on the grid. Unfortunately for us as a team, Nick also has a grid penalty, so he has dropped to the back. We're starting in 11th. We're going to be on fresh mediums to start off with, and it is a 2-stop strategy. Moving on to the softs for the final 2 stints. Hopefully this will be able to get us into the points. I imagine quite a lot of the field that are starting outside the top 10 we'll be going for a similar strategy as well. Hopefully we'll be able to get ourselves further up the grid. Whether we'll do as well as we did in America, I'm not so sure. There's only one way to find out though, and that's to get this race underway. Underway then for the start of the Mexican Grand Prix. All sorts of slipstreaming and chaos going on the run down to turn 1. How late do we dare go on the brakes to try and see how many cars we can get around the outside of here. You can see Grosjean's managed to work his way up. Gasly's not had too bad of a start either. In fact, both Haas's getting pretty decent starts and already having to go slightly defensive here. I thought most of the field would start on the mediums. Turns out they've started on the soft. So again, we're on the alternate strategy compared to everyone else, trying to get as close as possible to the back of Alex Albon here. You've got Magnussen trying to squeeze his way through.
Position on lap 1, that's not great, but it's not terrible. Stay focused.
Magnussen trying to squeeze his way through as well. Thankfully, we've avoided any damage on lap 1 so far, because that was my main concern with how bunched up things will get. Now it's all going to be about just getting into that usual routine that so many of our racers have followed, just sticking with the cars in front. And I think it might be a bit easier because Grosjean seems to be the one that'll be leading this mini train, I imagine. So if I can just stick behind these guys until the end of lap 2, when we get the DRS, then the train should start to close up ever so slightly, because I imagine a lot of us will be able to get ahead of the Haas of Grosjean. Lap 1 finished with 35 more to go, stayed in 11.
DRS will be enabled this lap. You can use it when within 1 second of the car ahead and in the DRS zone.
See, DRS is going to be enabled next lap. Not like it makes any difference for Lando Norris. I do seem to be a bit lower on straight line speed than some of these guys. Again, put on quite a high downforce setup, which makes me feel a lot more comfortable with the car, but it's definitely going to cost me pace-wise at least. And, well, pace-wise on the straight, and it's going to make it harder for me to overtake some of these guys as well. So we've lost a position, we're down into 12. I'm not exactly panicking yet, because I know America didn't have the greatest of starts, and then it all started to come good as the strategy came to play. So as long as I can stay in touch with Norris and stick within DRS range, and already actually getting close to dropping outside of that, then I should be able to defend from Magnussen, Ricciardo and some of those guys behind me. For now, we're down to 12. Am I going to be close enough to Grosjean to maybe even have a go around the outside, because he seems to be defending the inside very vigorously indeed. And I've got that position done back to where we started, back into 11th place. I think it was crucial I got past the Haas as quickly as possible, because he would have definitely started holding me up through some of the faster corners on this circuit. First few pit stops then, that puts us into the points, and we are sort of stuck in another DRS train. It was the Ferraris leading it. In fact, I think there is still a Ferrari at the head of this queue, and then there's Gasly, Stroll, Albon, Norris and myself, all with DRS and all not really able to make any moves on the field. I'm not too concerned at the moment. We are still pulling away from those behind, and I don't think it'll be too long before these guys pit and I get a bit of free air to take what's left out of these medium tyres up until my pit stop. Lando comes into the pit. That gives me the lead of the race, and thankfully
Tyre condition is still looking good.
Thankfully, I've got the DRS off him as well, so that will help boost me down this straight and the next one. Everyone started on the softs, I think, has made their first pit stops. I know the leaders have, that's why I'm in the lead. I know Nick has, and also Charles Leclerc has retired from the race, and he was at the head of that DRS train, I think, alongside his teammate Sebastian Vettel. That's good news for us. One less car we have to deal with. Another couple of laps to do on these medium tyres before we come out on the softs. We'll have to see how effective has the undercut been for those who pitted a few laps before us. Just about getting stopped in time. Here we go then, pit stop. First one of two. Hopefully I come out, I'd like to say ahead of Lando. That's not going to happen. Hopefully should still be ahead of the Haasers. Quick pit stop definitely needed from the boys. Look at that, 1.9 seconds. Absolutely beautiful. And I am going to come out then in 10th position.
We'll be doing one more stop today. One stop left in our strategy.
10th position. Understandably lost a bit of time to Stroll, Norris and that queue, but at least I've got free air to use these soft tyres with. Held position then, place-wise. The only place I've gained, obviously, is Charles Leclerc's retirement. Let's see what I can do on these soft tyres. Can I catch these guys up before they come into the pits again? and maybe work my way up the order. For now though, we're on for a point. Really close to the back of Lance Stroll here on this mini DRS straight before the stadium section, and I get that move done. That is a position gained. He's probably going to get me on the next straight, to be fair, so I'm not sure that's the wisest move I've ever made in my life, but I see an opportunity to do an overtake and I go for it. That is me up into 9. Not a bad exit if I do say so myself, and there might be a chance, but a late move down the inside here on Lando Norris, bumped over the curve ever so slightly. That's that position done though. We are up to 8th position. Really enjoying these soft tyres at the moment. Need to be careful though. Need to ensure they get to the end of this stint in a half decent condition. Otherwise pushing this hard could cost me. We'll drop Lando through this part of the circuit, so don't need to worry about him fighting back. Alex Albon, our next target.
The car ahead is 2.5 seconds.
Went past Lando on the inside, gonna go for the outside on Alex Albon. He is defending hard, I must say, trying to hold on to that position. Just managed to get my nose ahead though with the extra grip on these tyres. Another place gained. We're now up into 3rd. Quite a few guys have now made their 2nd stops of the race, so let's see how we can do on these tyres. I think after Bottas pits, he'll probably still come out ahead of us. Beating Gasly though, definitely our target for the final stint of this race. Final pit stop then, I'd lost about 2 seconds on the previous lap than my personal best, so you can see how much these soft tyres were wearing, and that might be something to watch out for at the end of this stint. But we are into the pits then, another fantastic pit stop from the crew. Will I manage to stay out ahead of Alex Albon, or will he jump me in the Red Bull? It's going to be pretty close. He's going to get himself ahead of me, but I am able to cut back ahead of Gasly. That puts us into 7th place, and we are on much quicker tyres than everyone else. Shouldn't take me long to get ahead of Alex Albon. Then I wonder if I can catch Sebastian Vettel 6 and a bit seconds up the road. Don't want to waste any time whatsoever stuck behind Alex Albon, so I'm going pretty early here to get the move done. Down the inside we go, and we are ahead before we get to the corner. He's going to try the cutback, but I'll have DRS down this next straight as well. Use a bit of electrical energy to boost my way ahead of him. That puts us into 6th. Vettel the next target.
Good job. That was the fastest lap of the race so far.
Fastest lap of the race as well. That'd be a nice bonus point to try and help us in the championship. 5 laps to go then. Close it in on Sebastian Vettel for what would be 5th position, and another fantastic result. We're a long way ahead of Albon and Gasly, so I'm definitely not worried about either of those guys. It is just making sure I get the best possible exit out of turn 3. That's a couple of times now I've been a bit scruffy out of there. Am I closing in enough to send one up the inside here into turn 4? That's very late on the brakes from myself. Thankfully he saw me coming, and I've made that position work. I'm now up into 5th. Vettel behind me. Perez 7 seconds up the road. Can't see that happening unless he has a major problem with his tyres at the end of the race, and to be honest I think I'll be in more trouble than him. Just need to keep it nice and calm now, work my way towards the checkered flag. We've got that fastest lap point as well still.
Gap to car in front is 6.7 seconds.
Just a bit deep on the brakes into the stadium. We've got that fastest lap point as well, so 1 for 11 points at the moment, which would be a very nice haul indeed.
This is your final lap of the race.
Final lap then of the Mexico Grand Prix. Haven't really attempted to catch up to Perez. Stretched the gap out ever so slightly on Vettel, and it looks like for, I think, the 2nd race in a row, we're just going to beat a Ferrari on pure pace without anything weird happening. It's not like they've been stuck behind another car. That's how we got the victory in Singapore. We just seem to be genuinely a lot quicker, and I've not changed the difficulty. I've kept it on 100. I put it up to that after rusher, and given that after rusher in Japan I struggled quite a bit. I was tempted to knock it down, but I thought no, the car will improve. don't seem to be doing too bad qualifying and practice, so I'll just keep it on that level. Might need to even bump it up a bit more by the looks of things. Just keeping it nice and steady now. You can see got enough fuel to get us to the end of this race, and we've still got the fastest lap. No one better take that off me on the fastest lap, on the final lap of the race I should say. Bottas takes the checkered flag. He is the champion this time around. Great season from him as I round the final corner of the Mexican Grand Prix. Another fantastic top 5 finish.
That's the end of the race. We'll see you in Parc Ferme.
5th place, I imagine that's going to be driver of the day once again for myself. There we go. Might have closed in quite a bit on Albon in the championship. I wonder if I could sneak top 6 at the end of the season.
Celebrations begin, and well earned they are indeed. It may have looked simple at times, but as any racing driver will tell you, competing at this level...
I hope I don't have to do donuts if I win the championship. I'm shocking at them.
There's no catching them now then. We have a new World Drivers' Champion. That's a spectacular victory then, and with it, the championship is secure. It's been a magnificent season, and they thoroughly deserve the cheers of the crowd here today. What do you think it was, Ant, that gave them the edge over the competition today?
I feel like consistency was probably the key today. There's being quick, and then there's being quick lap after lap after lap. If you can do that, you can capitalise on other people's errors without making many of your own. And that's an approach that can push you a long way up the field.
So yeah, 4th place for Perez. He had a pretty good race that time around. I managed to finish in 5th. Racing Point, I think to say the 2nd fastest car, as Bottas seems to be celebrating more and more, and we've seen enough of him rubbing it in that he's got a much better car than us now.
Well, the gap at the top of the championship has been cut down after a difficult race today for our championship leader. After an incredible day of racing, who was your driver of the day, Ant?
I'm going to give it to the owner-driver today. They fought so hard and had incredible pace at times, so I don't think anyone else did a better job today.
The Constructors' Championship may be a foregone conclusion at the moment, but regardless, let's look at the standings. It's another clear win for Mercedes as they managed to secure the Constructors' title. An incredible performance for the whole team. Meanwhile, good work from Racing Point this weekend, who pushed themselves further up the order. It's been an absolutely wild weekend of Formula One action. I can't wait to see what's next.
In the Constructors, Racing Point move ahead of Renault. We're now 17 points behind Renault. It's possible, but it's going to be tough, I think, if they pick up any points at all over the next 2 races, especially because I'm fairly sure I'm going to have to take a whole barrel load of engine penalties at the next race. And that's probably going to stop me catching up to Albon as well. I'm only 9 points behind him, so that one might be a bit closer. Perez, if he puts in some good performances, even he could get involved in that battle. There we go, 5th place, bonus point for the fastest lap. First time we've got that this season. Nick finished in 18th. Not too bad to say he had so many engine penalties. Obviously he started from the back, managed to work his way ahead of Grosjean even in the end, and let's not forget he was battling with us at the start of the race. Great result for myself though, 5th position, really getting some consistency now at the end of this season, and hopefully we'll have a good car for the final 2 races as well. But first, let's see what Claire has to say to us.
Amazing performance out there. I'm sure you're pretty happy with that. You were cutting your way through the field during the race.
Always bump up the lowest department,
Really
which is still the chassis
car out
department.
there. Your team must be thrilled. It looks like you're schooling your rivals at the moment. The regulation changes for next season have been announced. How is your team going?
And we're already hard at work on next season upgrades, as you have already seen. We're nearly there.
Well, that's everything.
And I think by Brazil, we should have everything saved from this season, durability-wise. So hopefully next year we don't have to have any grid penalties whatsoever. I'm interested to see how close the rivalry is now between me and Ricciardo, because like I said, I scored him in that race, 4-2, so I skipped the scene, but I think I'll be 1 point ahead of him now, with 1 race remaining, so all to play for in Brazil. Team Acclaim Still on level 14. It's level 20 when we next unlock a sponsor, so that is going to take us a while. And look at that. That is a nice amount of cash once again for us to earn in that race. I got no damage on a race weekend, which is an extremely rare occurrence. Bumping up our cash a bit more, especially with contract renewal time around the corner for ourselves. This season has absolutely flown by. We've only got 2 races left now. The finale of the season will be in Abu Dhabi, but before then we have another fantastic race circuit in South America, the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache. It will be the Brazilian Grand Prix, where, as I said a few minutes ago, I'm going to be taking a lot of engine penalties. New engine, new energy store, possibly a new turbocharger as well. So no matter where we qualify, I think in Brazil, we're going to be at the back of the grid. But how high will we get up in the race? You'll have to wait until next time to find out. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you all soon.